Greetings, fellow mayors. This is Captain Obvious, and welcome back to Noyou Port City, a narrative gameplay experience. Let's do a short recap while keeping the game at ×3 game speed, and while we are doing our overview, try to notice in the background if our city has any major issues. And also take note that we are in the positive income, starting with 11 million in the bank, so in the previous episode, we finalized our oil and ore industries, and it is doing extraordinarily well. Our oil has impressive weekly income, and it has zero imports, while our ore is experiencing similar profits with also no imports. And on top of that, there are no major traffic, at least 95. It's all pretty much orange. And we also just have about every industrial or industry structure in the game. We even added toll booths. And speaking of which, a shout out to Dean Webb, a fellow City Skylines content creator, that reminded me that I could actually make the automated toll a citywide policy. And that is the first thing that we will do today. So how do we do that? First, let's go find, so this is our district, and I have the automated toll booth policy there. All I need to do is go to city planning, and we are actually going to deactivate it. So this is connected to this one, or we actually did not also add this. So let's go ahead and do that now. And then let's delete the excess area. Okay, so now it affects all the tolls that we need, but we should deactivate this. So from here, I am going to deactivate it, the automated toll. So as you can see, it is all deactivated. And if you look at the rest of the other districts in the city, there are no tolls. So to activate them for all, so I deselected this district, and now I'm going to click again on automated toll, and now it applies to all. So that is how you do global city policies. And again, thank you, Dean Webb, who I call the Bob Ross of City Skylines, because his voice pretty much matches Bob Ross himself. So it is only fitting that in his community, we are city painters, which I think is pretty cool. Make sure to check out his channel and say hi. The link will be in the video description. So as I was saying, our oil has also a decent design. The extractor area are on multiple levels, which I think is quite neat. Then the processing structures are clustered with unique factories, and now they blend in together quite nicely. And in the back, we have our oil tank farm with warehouses. And if you guys didn't know, depending on the storage type, you could have like different things there. For example, the storage for this is metal. So we have metal bars, we got metal pipes and whatnot. Then this set is unique factory products. So if you look closer, it's actually multiple boxes of different sizes and colors, while this one is set to petroleum. So we have all these barrels of petroleum, and this right here is set to commercial goods. So it has different size boxes. So I think this is pretty cool, because this is something that we don't really appreciate as much, and it's good that I pointed out. Okay, let's take a look at the bigger picture. Has the city collapsed? It doesn't appear so. There are no major alerts except for these that occasionally appear, but I am not as concerned because they will never abandon, because they are not zoned buildings. They are ploppable. So since we are analyzing the current state of the game, our bank is now 12 million, so we added just about one. And if I wanted to, we could get 1 million in the bank and never have to worry about money throughout the lifetime of the city. However, a mayor's work is never done because now, according to the city's demands, we have to grow and maintain the status of being extraordinarily efficient, mechanically sound, while maintaining an aesthetically pleasing city. Growing is easy. It is the maintaining the current status as the city gets bigger is the real challenge. But before we start pacifying this need, let's go ahead and empty or set to fill all our cemeteries and landfills. If there's an easy way to spot all your cemeteries, just click on the cemetery and then they will highlight. So that is how I locate these cemeteries. And of course, let's not forget about our land side. Look at this, 87% full, so it's nearly full. Might as well put that on empty, and let's check if there are any more. Nope. That is it. That is all. Oh, we have some here. Of course, we just added in. Oh, it's only 3%, so we can leave that alone. All right. Okay, so what we need to do in this episode, as much as we want to finalize the design for the farming and forestry industries, we as the mayor are but a humble servant of the city. What the city wants and needs is what we must pacify, and what the city wants are more residents and places to shop. So that brings us back to our canal, and we have an opportunity to finalize the canal design. But before anything else, let's take a quick refresher tour of what we have so far. So we have a pretty neat design right here. Let's actually put it at ×1 speed so we could appreciate the vehicles passing by. So we have a neat layout here where we have fencing and we have coconut trees. I prefer coconut compared to others, and our transportation that I chose to include here are trolley buses. And so here is mostly high density. We're gonna keep it high density because the final milestone for this map is insane. It's like 90, so we need a lot of high density. Anyhow, so there are 2 levels in our canal area. So we have the first layer and then the second layer. Our sims can choose to move up and down using the key with stairs, and for vehicles we are using the European stone bridge, so it is a neat way to go up. And you could also see from underneath vehicles that pass through, which I think is very, very cool. So this goes all the way throughout. Our trolley bus actually stopped here, but I intend to make it continue all the way, and it's going to go all around. So that is the plan. And now we have our opportunity to start or actually continue on the other side of the canal. All right, so what we need to do is analyze, assess, and anticipate. So let's first analyze the terrain. So we need to definitely flatten this because roads and buildings work better on flat surfaces. However, on this side we have a predicament. So here, let's take a closer look. So this is 2 levels. So we have our first level down here, then our second level, which is the very top. However, on this side, this is actually much taller than on this. So if we actually copy the lower level, so I'm going to right click, so we are on the level terrain, right click, then left click. So this is the similar height to this. And if we take the second layer, so right click, then left click, so and the second layer is here. So as you notice, there are actually more. I would count up to 4. And how do I know it's 4? You see these lines on the terrain, these are actually by 10. So the brighter or the thicker white line is like the 1 mark, and there would be 10. So if this is first level, then this must be second level, then here will be third level, and then here will be fourth. So it will be something around like this there. So it'll be around 4 levels. So the issue with this, so it works on this end, right? We could make that happen. it's gonna push things back, and we don't want to really do that. And there's not a lot of space for roads either. The issue is on this side. How are we going to put 4 levels up here? So that is a critical thinking issue that we must solve. But before we actually start this, and also of course we're also going to flatten this, let's look at the actual water, because this is something that is kind of disturbing, or at least for me at least. I like it when the water is about this level. This looks natural for me, or normal. Something like this is a little too high, and if we go even further, it becomes worse. And if we had a ferry, if this was a ferry line, people will be jumping off, and people who are regulars on the channel know that we like to lower the coastline so that sims do not leap to get on or off a ferry. But we've already established this. We can't really lower it down unless we use mods, but we don't want to use that. So how do we do this in vanilla? So we have to go all the way upstream and start from there. And the way that we are going to fix this is, instead of lowering the coastline, we are going to raise the river or the canal. So for instance, so here, this one is a little bit out. I am going to wait, let's reduce the strength so it doesn't just go nuts. That's a little too high, so maybe up to here. So it's gonna be a lot of testing. Okay, I'll just give an idea, and there you go. You see that? So this was quite low, and now it is fairly high, and that is what I am looking for. So we're just going to apply this all throughout. So there's going to be some flooding, but it's best that we do this now before we populate the other side of the river, which would be terrible if both sides would be suffering from the flood. So, and let's lower this slightly. So that is a little better, and we just need to do some minor adjusting. But I will we will fast forward this, and I will, there you go, see, that looks slightly better. And I'm gonna do it all the way to the end of the river, or at least in our jurisdiction, so that this is not so high anymore. As best as we can. So I will catch you a little later. Okay, so the canal have been raised, and we will take a closer look after we have actually created our ferry line. And what we now need is for a temporary means for vehicles to be able to get to the other side of the canal. So for the meantime, we will make a generic road path. And now we can proceed to create our road network and multiple levels to zone into. However, a word of caution, from this point forward, I will be relying more on mods because creating multiple levels is quite tedious when done in vanilla. It is still possible to accomplish what you are about to witness in vanilla, but requires extensive planning, especially when you have to dig ditches, fill them with water just to create inland quays. We are focusing our build around the bridge, and what we are trying to do is to create 4x4 zonings which will freely level up and become taller than the bridge. And these structures will grow from multiple levels. In a sense, I am trying to hide or cover the bridge with tall buildings, but I am also creating a scene from multiple perspectives. There will be a journey view from the ferry line, train line, and when crossing the bridge, so I expect this to be an eyeful. For this to be done right, both sides of the bridge will require at least 3 to 4 4x4 high-rise buildings, and they need to be on a perfect block. Otherwise, we will have crooked buildings which will not look quite right. And now that we have our levels in place, we will need to finalize the stairs on our quays so they align properly. I will have to reconstruct them so they are also the widest stairs as possible. It is unfortunate that sims will not actually use the stairs, but instead would phase into the ground on an invisible elevator. In any case, while we are on the foundation, it is best to align the staircases by levels. And the next step is to provide a means for the vehicles to travel to the multiple levels. And this time around, we will not use the European stone bridges like we did on the other side. Instead, we will just use declining ramps to travel to different levels. So far, so good. We have our ramps in place, which looks convincing, and we have at least one block before going to the next level. I would hope for at least 2 to 3 more blocks before having to create a new level, but unfortunately that is not the lay of the land, for this is quite a steep hill. Nevertheless, our multiple levels with ramps looks convincing, and this is also the first time that I have done this in a city, so I am quite excited to see how it turns out in the end. I might have the wrong approach, but if you have seen any other City Skylines player create multiple levels in a steep terrain, if so, please share. I am really interested to see a different approach. Alright, let's make sure that we actually add our ferry line, so I will create stops on the widest parts of the canal, and this is why the canal is not the same width, because we need to create space for the ferry stops. That, and I try not to make things look too cookie cutter like extensive perfect grids. So for this side of the bridge, you may notice that I did not create ramps immediately or parallel from the other side. Instead, we need to mix up the areas on where ramps are located so we can provide options for our vehicles to travel. This particular area was somewhat difficult because it is where the slight slope of the terrain is, so you may witness me struggle from time to time. Fortunately, we are using mods just to make things more easier for ourselves, and it will help us move along much more quickly. Notice how I still managed to remember to align our staircases in each level. This corner where the canal turns is quite an obstacle because it is actually a sloped curve. Therefore, we will create a platform that is equal to the third level. Then, we will need to create a ramp to connect the first and second levels. And oops, I appear to have miscomputed the height of our quay, which totally throws off the alignment moving up to each level. So we need to remedy this before proceeding forward. As much as possible, we need to minimize the earth cracks so it is not as obvious when we start to zone these areas. And all the while we are expanding in peace, the city has been growing our bank due to its consistent positive weekly income. But of course, our population just fluctuates steadily until we start to zone in more residents. The city is now enjoying a bank of 31 million simoleons and rising. These spare funds will be useful when constructing custom interchanges, and we should be able to afford to purchase most, if not all, unique buildings, including monuments. However, being able to afford the building maintenance is a completely different story. And what I am now adding is a bridge to connect the top to the mid-level from across the canal. It is vital that we provide multiple means for vehicles to travel across the canal. We are truly making great use of these stone bridges from the previous content creator pack. This ferry route will be extremely epic after we have completed the build. It has multiple stone bridges to pass under, a raised canal for a balanced ferry passenger transfer, great use of quays for Sims to enjoy a gorgeous stroll along the canal, and we are using the new Mr. Mason coconut trees to add a little detail along the canal. Okay, let's actually add and activate our ferry route, which is the whole point of this build. For the meantime, this will be a short 3-stop travel, but after we have unlocked more tiles, this will be an extremely long journey that will pass through multiple tiles. We will start populating this side of the canal, which meets our new bridge. And on top of the platform, we will add the transport tower as the main feature in this area. Then behind it will be high-rise residential buildings. Well, actually, you may notice that we are fully utilizing high density simply because this map requires 90,000 population to reach the final level. It is really annoying that the final milestone population requirement is so high. It only means that we need to build in extremely compact spaces. And this is why 25 to 81 tiles is highly valued, because we would not need to compute for the 9 tile space. And while expanding, try not to forget to provide services such as the child and elder care buildings. These two structures from the Sunset Harbor DLC are vital to prolonging the lifespan of your Sims, long enough for the young adults to graduate from a university and replace the jobs of the adults. Let us discuss my zoning strategy. I am doing selective zoning of having 4x4 or 3x3 high density residential, and if it is any smaller, then I would zone them as commercial buildings. I simply prefer the high-rise structures from the 4x4 or 3x3 zoning, whereas the 2x2 seems awkward in my opinion, but that is just me. I also provide a walking path that is directly straight from the bottom level going to the uppermost level. Then of course we add fences and trees when possible to wrap up the design. From this point forward is basically a rinse and repeat process of zoning, adding pedestrian paths, trees, and fences. Therefore, I have increased the speed time-lapse, but not to worry. We will do a close-up examination of today's build, and I will also comment on any other thing that I may have missed. In this season, I am slowly embracing the use of mods, but you can still see that I was planting trees manually until I realized that I have the Propline tool to set an equal distance between trees and plant them all in one line with ease. The mods that I utilize are life made easy mods, but they can be deactivated at any time and the city would still function properly. While active dependent mods like Traffic Manager will unfortunately cause the city to slowly collapse when the mod is deactivated. And this is why understanding the game mechanics is much more valuable than relying on mods to solve city issues. And finally, the canal build is complete, or at least the second phase, which is to populate the other side of the river. Okay, let's take a closer look at what we have accomplished with a microscope. So first, I placed this ferry depot on this side, but I actually want to place it on over here where we have this the shipyard where it creates cruise ships. So it will be nice to have the ferry depot here, and definitely we will connect the ferry that will go all the way around. So this is gonna be one long ferry route, and we're gonna have the pretty much the same design all throughout there. So it's gonna be very exciting on how this is going to turn out in the end. So at least we get a preview on what it's gonna look like. All right, so what did we do before populating that? What we did was, instead of lowering the coastline, we raised the canal this time. So as you can see, the height is much more proportional, so that when ferries appear, our sims don't look like they are leaping. And all right, so let's go further in, and then of course we have the, I guess, my choice of trees, which are coconut trees, and then I also add in a few vegetation. I've never really explained why I choose this. So there's actually a reason, and it's not because I live on an island and I see coconuts all the time, so it's not a subconscious thing. It is the reason why I choose coconut trees is because you can see right through them, so you can appreciate the buildings, because the other trees are a little too thick where you can't appreciate the buildings anymore. So unlike this, you can view the area, so you can see everything around you, you can see the buildings behind you, you can see some of the trees, but you can see right through the leaves, which is a great thing. So you have a nice view. So for example, let's try using another tree. So if we chose, for example, the date palm tree, so take a look at this one. So this one, its bark or its trunk is extremely thick, and look how much thickness the leaves are. So if you put that there, you could barely see this white building anymore. And even this one, as you can see, you can still see that. But imagine if I created a line of this. So all we're gonna see is trees. We're not gonna be able to see or appreciate the architecture around it. So that let's try another tree. This one is another issue. You see how it covers so many things behind it. And if you put a line, it'll just cover everything up. That includes this. So this is extremely tall. This one, the barks just seems a little too thick. Yeah, so this is why I choose coconut trees. So yeah, I never explained that before. Oh, I think it's starting to get dark, like in the game. I set the day-night cycle because I want to see how it looks. Oh, here is a ferry. All right, let's continue our tour. And of course this goes around, and as you can see, it's still pretty equal level. So these things, these little cracks are due to the structures here. So it's quite unfortunate. So for example, here you can see that if I delete this, this will be gone. So for example, see how it slowly disappears. I actually wanted to add like so these little stops of buildings is actually a neat thing, right? So it just doesn't become a redundant like whole set of trees and plantation. But yeah, so having this as little breaks is a neat thing. I wanted to do that here, but it also does the same thing. So it creates tiny cracks of earth there. So this I have no choice but to apply it to here. But here where there's stairs, as you can see, there is still that tiny soil that you can that is emerging due to the structures. Anyhow, we are kind of skipping. Let's go back to the view. All right, so this, of course, we have this bridge. Oh, he's going under the bridge. Look at the perfect height. It's not getting hit or anything. And this bridge, oh, I love this. Look how that looks. And you can view it from the bottom, driving or traveling by ferry, or even if you're just a pedestrian right here looking over. This is an absolute excellent view. You could be driving across, and this is what you see. You can see ferries going around. And then here, this is a platform. This is actually a third level, so this is the first level, and we actually skipped one and went to the third. So the second level is actually here. This is the second level, and we have a seamless ramp. So it just goes up compared to the other side when we first made our like means of vehicles going underneath. I thought this was a great idea, which still is. At least we have options. So it enables you know, the bridge and for vehicles to go underneath, which is still very, very cool. Right, so we got this option, or if you want to, you can use this. Oh, where am I? Here, you can use this. You can use this as ramps in order to go up and down. So yeah, so this is a 3-level. I guess. Yeah, this has 3 levels, and from the bottom underneath the bridge, I actually created this bus stop. I'm using the taxi stands as bus stops, and I did some minor decorating here, so that goes the same on this side. So here's an example of trees that are too thick that basically covers everything. Oh, it's turning night. All right, let's just continue. So the bridges, so going back here, so we have this bridge. I'm like conscious of where things are, so I see that there's a bridge here, we have a bridge over here, and then we have a bridge here, and then we also have a built-in bridge here. So most likely we will create another bridge here. So the bridges are very important so that we don't have traffic within this area, so that they have many options on ways to enter and exit on either side of the canal. Look at this building. Oh, it's night. what a great view. Look at that. Oh, there's a bug. It's a very weird bug. Look at this ferry. It disappeared. I have no idea why. There's no mods that should do that. I don't know. Maybe it's the ferry stop that I use. If anyone knows. For now, I just leave it because I'm not going to bother with it until we eventually like connect the whole thing. Then it becomes an issue or something that I should solve. Oh, the reason why I'm using this also is, oh, there you go. See, perfect height. What else is there to say? Yeah, so again we have this neat bridge, and then this time we have a train line that goes here, so you can view this side of the city from here. Oh, and of course the bridges here, these buildings, I do not make them historical because I want them to reach the final 5th level, so they'll be the tallest buildings as possible, because I want the appearance when you're looking here is you're gonna see really tall buildings like closest possible to the bridges. So that goes the same here. And then, so for example, if this was a step ladder, so this will be from the top then going downward and here. So everything else is, most of them are historical so that they don't grow as much. I don't want everything to compete with each other. For example, this guy fell through the cracks and he became level 5, so that's how tall he is. And imagine if everyone else was also just as tall. It's just gonna be chaos right there. Where, for example, this, you want one building to be featured all throughout, and that is and this is the transport tower that I chose. And okay, let's see what else is there. Oh, yeah, so the ramps for this side, so I have a ramp from here, so this is our ground level. The ramp's going here, and then it goes up there and goes to the 2nd level, then goes to the 3rd level. And then from this side, the ramp is actually all the way down here, and then from here there's actually no way to go up unless you use this. So this is like the way to get to the 3rd level. So eventually we're gonna create a 4th one. The reason why I stopped is because I need to create an interchange somewhere here, and it will somehow connect to this. So that is vital for the health of this area, so that trucks and vehicles can enter and exit. And of course I already set up this train line so that we have a way for vehicles to come in. And what else is there to showcase? If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask in chat and I'll try to answer it. I guess that's pretty much it. So we are going to go through a cinematic tour to check out the build. And that wraps up today's build for our Canal City. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified of a new video and see the progress of Noyou Port City. Feel free to comment on what you like about the video, and while you're at it, hit that like button. This is Captain Obvious. Thank you for watching. You all take care, and I will see you in the next video.